times is not going to be changed in the meeting.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. We'll say, you say what you need to say, get it off your chest. One time.
Yeah.
One
Absolutely.
time, okay?
Yeah.
Because I just know it's not going to make a difference, okay? It's just going to, if anything, it will make things more difficult to work in partnership with anyone, with the parents, with the social worker. But and it's going to be going to give it to them in writing anyway, and it's going to be in your court report and your own statement as well.
Yeah.
So you don't agree with the care plan, okay?
Yeah.
And do you want to maybe say why you don't agree with it, and I can make a note of that as well?
Because I think there's not a reason why I wouldn't be able to see Henry minimum 4 times a week. I don't really know what the evidence is behind anything, really. I don't really see what the reason. I haven't seen any evidence. I've just heard hearsay, but I haven't actually seen any evidence. I've been going to Women's Health Matters. I've been going to Impact North. I've been going to the Nuffield Health personal training. I've been doing 16 weeks of sports training for. I've raised £200 to save the children.
Hang on. But none of that is really relevant in terms of the contact. So because I think there's not really a reason why I shouldn't have more. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think my contact's been great.
But
I mean,
there have
I've
been
in contact for 11
Lydia.
months, and I've not seen anything glaring that's a huge error in terms of that. Apart from that one-off incident on the 15th, I've not seen anything else that's a major cause for concern. There's a lot of false accusations. There's a lot of false allegations, which are completely and utterly unfounded, like that I'm bringing in my own food. I've never done that once. I spend £7 on a jacket potato for myself, and I spend £7 on a jacket potato for Henry, and that's all he eats. I've never once brought in my own food, and I've never once recorded a contact session. They're saying I'm recording contact sessions. I've never once done that, so I don't understand where these accusations are coming from.
I need to. I think it's a problem, Lydia, because there's not just one professional saying that. You know, it's like there's like different people saying that, and so what you're saying is that they're like ganging up against you because you, from your point of view, it hasn't happened.
Yeah, that is my point of view.
But they're saying it's not. They're saying it's not true.
Well, they're lying. People lie all the time, Simone. That's why Nelson Mandela was in prison for 13 years, because people were lying.
I know people do sometimes lie, but it's how come it's all of them lying? That's my only.
I'm not saying Simone. If you heard what I said, I didn't actually say that they're lying about everything, but I said that those points that I've just mentioned are utter fabrications. They did not happen.
Okay.
Never once brought in food, and I've never once recorded a contact session.
Okay. Hang on.
In regards to other things they say about things like, oh, my behavior, my communication, my things like that. I mean, fair enough, that's their subjective opinion. But in regards to those 2 points, it's lies. I haven't done that. I've never once brought in my own food. I've never once given Henry food that, as soon as I was told that I had to buy food at the centre, I've spent over £100 on buying jacket potatoes. I haven't been bringing in my own food.
Okay. So I have I'm just going to use your words here, yeah? Okay. You know, Lydia, I'm not against you. You know that.
No, I know you're not, Simone, and I'm not against anyone. I'm just trying to uphold my statutory rights here. I'm not against anyone. It's nothing personal against anyone.
Okay. So I've read an email that you think you should have a minimum of 4 times a week of contact, yeah?
Yeah.
And then once a week, you'd like contact in your new home, yeah?
Yeah, ideally, but we're obviously not on my own. I never suggest that he'd be in my home on my own, but maybe with like a social worker and a supervisor, or with someone from the local children's centre, or with one of my parents, or with I don't know anyone, not on my own, but I think that there's a lot of parents out there who, I've been in supervised contact now for 2 years. I've had half an hour of unsupervised time with him.
Yeah.
And
I know.
this was my first baby, and this did happen 3 days after I gave birth. He's not once been in any of my homes ever. He's never once been home to his mum, not once.
So you feel very sad about the fact that your son has never once been to any of your homes, yeah?
Yeah, I do feel sad, because it's like, at the end of the day, how you are at home is very different to how you are in other people's environments. Like, you're going to feel much more safe and secure at your home with your cats than you would, at the local children's centre, or at the local town hall, or at the local gym. You're always going to feel more comfortable at home. It's just the way it is. And I've made efforts to get all my repairs done in my flat. I've got a brand new kitchen. I've got a brand new toilet. All the cracks in the walls have been filled in. They're about to fill in the crack in the window frame. I've been putting so much effort into getting that done. I've had to make so many calls. I've had to give up so much time being in the flat. I've had to give keys to engineers and let engineers into my home and have loud drilling all day, and I've put all that effort and time in to get these things done so that he can at least come home, and even if it's with a supervisor and a social worker, at least spend some time in an environment that I know and feel comfortable in and don't feel anxious in, and I'm not feeling like I'm having to adapt to somebody else's environment. It's my environment with my rules, in a safe, in the home that I've been in now. I can quite honestly say, hand on heart, that there's not been any violence, there's not been any assaults, there's not been any drugs, and there's not been any alcohol. There's been no corrupt, illegal activity in my home, and I've been living there now since mid-April.
Okay.
And that's taken a lot of effort. It's taken a lot of effort. It doesn't just, these things, they don't just happen. There's been times when people have shown up at my front door. I don't know who the hell they are, and I've just not even answered the door to them. I've let them go on their merry way. I've looked through the little camera in the door, and I've not answered the door. Even if they've dropped me off loads of cleaning products, like, great, you've dropped me off some cleaning products, but who are you? And I've just not even let them come in. And like, there's CCTV cameras outside the flat that would evidence all of what I'm saying. I'm not just making this up.
Okay, Lydia. Okay. I got it. We don't want to bombard them, okay? Yeah. Because we will be there for 3 hours, and you know what it's like, okay? So we'll tell them calmly and succinctly what your views are about the report, okay? The state and about the care plan. So I'm just going to repeat. So don't agree with the care plan, because I think there's not really a reason why I shouldn't have more contact. I've never once brought food in the session, never once recorded a session. There's a lies and not fabrication. I should have a minimum of 4 weeks. I'd like a minimum of 4 times a week of contact with Henry. Once a week, I'd like contact within my own home with a supervisor, one of my parents, or anyone who can supervise, really. You've heard about the fact that Henry has never once been in any of your homes. You've put a lot of effort and time in doing up your home, and you would like to be able to share this with Henry now. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. There's another thing I was wondering whether you would like to mention something, because I've noticed when we had the contact agreement meeting, that some of the wording in that agreement maybe was a bit directed in a negative way towards you, or you were sort of singled out. And I was wondering if you would like to say something about that. You feel that there might be sort of the language that's being used is not always helpful. There's like, it feels like this might be one set of rules for you and another set of others. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, in all honesty, Simone, I think that is honestly, having put a lot of reflection into that, I think that is the main problem that I'm having, is like, kind of like the way that professionals are communicating with me and sort of singling me out. It's like, I am a very sensitive woman, I'm a very sensitive person. I've always been very sensitive, but especially after all this trauma, I'm even more sensitive now. And when people are very like abrupt and very directive and kind of singling me out and making me feel like I'm kind of like making these inferences that I'm somewhat this incredibly dangerous, aggressive, risky individual. You know, I'm not. I've never been in jail. I've never been arrested. You know, I'm not trying to say that my communication is perfect, but that is something I'm working on. You know, I've been going to advocacy with Women's Health Matters for 4 months just on communication. The therapy that I'm enrolled with my mental health team is all about communication. You know, I am genuinely really putting in efforts to improve my communication, but like making inferences that I'm like such a aggressive person. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm really truly not, you know. And I don't think it's fair to kind of make these that sort of talk to me in a very like what feels like a very militaristic kind of authoritarian way, where it's kind of like, you know, one strike policy, you know, you make a human error and you're out, you know, the whole thing's scuppered just for you maybe having a bad day, you know, or maybe like having had something really traumatic happen to me on the way in. Everyone has stress, and especially somebody like me with all my health conditions, you know, it's like there needs to be even more like patient. I need people to be more patient with me, and like there's things that they could do, you know, if they do feel like I'm getting triggered because I have PTSD, then make a rule, you know, say there's a safe word, and if you feel like you're getting upset, then just go into a different room and do some meditation for 5 minutes and then come back. You know, there's things they could put in place for me.
Okay, so safe word, yeah. So do you think it would be helpful to maybe have a safe word can be used by, if let's say the contact supervisor feels, is that for the contact supervisor to use? So you have an agreed safe word, and if that's what the word is said, then you would have a break from contact, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think that could work really well. A safe word whereby, you know, if, you know, these people, these professionals who are supervising, you know, they don't know me, they don't know how I work, I don't know them. There is going to be maybe some communication difficulties at the beginning, just because I'm a complete stranger and so are they, you know. But if there's a safe word, then whether that's me or whether that's them, feeling that there's been some kind of discord, or there's some kind of tension, or there's something that's not like they've given me a rule and I'm not happy about it, you know, there's some kind of disagreement, then if there's like a safe word, then we can all just, you know, just take some time out to just process what's happening. Maybe there could be a way of me writing something down, or there could be somebody allocated to me to call in that kind of moment, you know, somebody who's available for me to call to mediate, like a mediator. Like there could be some things put in place.
It won't be happening right there and then, but there might be. Okay, so let me just make sense of this. So safe word could maybe be used by the supervisor or myself if there's a discourse or some kind of a disagreement during a session, which would then whereby all present would know what to do next. For example, have a timeout, cool down. What did you call it? Or like a.
Like the way I envisage it is like, is like is for maybe, you know, rather than it being like literally a case of like, oh, you got stressed because there was a new rule introduced and therefore we're ending contact, grandparents come and collect Henry, gone, suspended for 6 weeks. Rather than that, it could be like, you've got stressed, so you give Henry to supervisor just plays with Henry in your view for 5 minutes whilst you just go over there and like do what you need to do to calm down, you know, like call the social worker, or call your care coordinator, or call somebody, or even just like listen to some music, you know, put on some headphones, listen to some music for 5 minutes. I don't know, go outside for a vape. I don't know, just do something to just get some fresh air, you know, just kind of like, you know, you're obviously not in the right place. Apparently you've got schizophrenia, you know, just like some kind of allowance for, you know, the fact that I do respond badly to stress. I will be honest about that, you know, but in all honesty, so did my grandma Helen, who died last May. She was awful with stress. My auntie is awful with stress. My mother is awful with stress. My dad is not great with stress. The only person in my family who's decent with stress is my brother. So, it's something that runs in the family. And I think that rather than it being like, like in the you would have heard it in the most recent contact center agreement meeting with me and Idva and then everyone else in that meeting, the social worker did read out in her agreement, it was like,
well, I was there,
any breaking of the rules, contact is terminated immediately, and Henry goes back to grandparents. It was very like boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that is at the moment, that's what they want you to sign, and if without that you signing it, this contact is not going to happen. We can put this forward to them to have a say for it. I don't know if that was already tried, okay, but we can certainly mention it. Okay, I think it's about you know yourself, okay. If you think that can make a difference, and you should be, and that there is a likelihood of you getting stressed during sessions, or you have disagreements maybe with a contact supervisor for whatever reason, because they will make sure that the rules are being followed. So there's going to be no like the phone has to be handed in, and that's just how it is. And to be honest, actually, I was a bit surprised when you, if you don't mind me saying, because you and I spoke about this before, about this whole phone thing, because I remember when you had contact with Henry in Wood Green, which is a long time now, the phone thing was already
sorry, I'm just charging my phone.
Yeah,
sorry, I'm just charging my phone because the screen's gone dark. It's back on now. Sorry about that.
So the whole phone thing, I remember, it was already an issue then, and we had a conversation about this, and I said to you, why do you even need a phone in the session, Lydia? And you agreed. You said, that's true, I don't actually need one. And you were going to actually try out to have a session to even switch off your phone and just focus on Henry. So, okay, I know they're saying, I don't know, maybe you don't want to do it because they're saying it, but why don't you just do it because you want to do it? Does it? I mean, we spoke about this, and it's kind of a shame that you should be able to see Henry. So let's just not pick your fights, okay? But the phone is not a fight. It's not worth it. Because you're going to have a much better session with Henry anyway.
I think it's just the principle of it, Simone. How would you feel if somebody said to you, you're not allowed to, for the next 3 hours, you could have a friend have an emergency and need urgent assistance, or somebody could call you up and say that they wanted to jump off a bridge, or something could happen whereby you need to respond urgently, or there could be a really urgent call that comes in, and then for 3 hours you don't have any access to your phone whatsoever, so you can't help anyone who needs you. It's quite a big thing, and also it's like it's a principle of like it being my freedom of expression. It's like my right to have a private, personal life. All of my contacts, all of my friends, all of my acquaintances, everybody's on my phone, and if I don't have access to my phone, then I can't have a network.
Listen to me. I need to challenge that. Not because I want to be disrespectful, but look, those are not arguments. If you fly from London, Henry, your phone is off, and you're not going to be reachable. Okay, if you go to the cinema, mostly your phone is off or on silent, whatever. If you go to the theater, it's not really. Of course, things can happen. But what is the most important? What is the most important when you have contact with Henry? It's Henry. It's not like what your mate is doing. It's Henry. Switch off the phone and enjoy your time with Henry. And okay, if a photo, of course you want pictures and stuff, then you get one of them to take a picture with the iPad or whatever. You get all of those pictures. Henry doesn't need the phone there with you. You don't need a phone. Just pick your fights. That is not worth it.
Yeah, no, I'm taking on board what you're saying. I'm definitely hearing what you're saying.
Okay, well, we had a conversation before, so.
But the thing, Simone, that like you do have to realize is like, if like let's say for example, if somebody says to me, my mum was awful to me as a child. My ex-partner often said to me, my mum was awful to me as a child, and I always respond to that with saying, look, I cannot comment on that because I wasn't there. I was not there, so I cannot comment on that. And it's like, it's the same thing with this. It's like, I appreciate you have read the documents. I appreciate you have spoken to the social worker and you've heard these things about my phone usage. But Simone, you weren't there. I am telling you now, I have barely used my phone with Henry. It sounds from what I'm listening and seeing that you're under the impression that I was literally on my phone the whole time with Henry. I wasn't.
No, I'm not.
I literally wasn't. I usually take maybe 5 photographs of him, and then he watches the Teletubbies over lunch. That's it. I never take calls. I never call people. Every now and again, I might call my brother, and it's very rare that I do that. I'm not always on my phone. So this is, again, it's another false allegation that I'm like using my phone the whole time when I'm not.
I don't think they're saying you're using your phone all the time. And I wasn't under that impression at all. And I wasn't. I think, okay, regardless of, okay, I look after a little boy once a week. He's like my godson, kind of. Okay. And when I'm with him, I don't use the phone at all. Never, I don't use it. Okay. And it's a choice that I've made because because I know when we get distracted with phones. Okay. It's a text message, whatever, you know, but I only have like 3 hours with him. So I don't use it. And if they are stipulating that in that agreement now, okay, it doesn't matter what happened in the past, what they said, and I know you don't agree with it. I wasn't there, as you said, so I can't comment either way. I can't say they are right or you're right, or they're wrong and you're wrong. It doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. What matters is what you do as you're moving forward.
Yeah.
So please, just like, don't, as I can say, I'll say again, pick the right fight, and that is not a fight worth fighting. Because I know, and I think you know, that having the phone is not a good thing anyway when you have contact with your son. Because, I mean, you want to play a book, you want to read a book with him, you want to play. What do you need the phone for? You don't need it anyway. So pick a fight that is worth fighting.
I think on this matter, it would just be really good to raise this issue with the social workers, because I do agree with what you're saying, but I think it's for me personally, it's kind of like a give and take situation where I feel like personally for me, I would be more than happy to be in a building, either a soft play centre or wherever it would be, with my son supervised, without a phone, handing in my phone on this condition that I would like there to be some element of going outside, whether that is going into a garden. You seem, Simone, like somebody who likes being outside. You seem very outdoorsy. You like going out, going hiking. I want to be able to have a garden to go into with Henry, because he's 2 now. He needs to be able to get vitamin D. He needs to be able to run around outside. And I am a fully grown adult. I'm 30 years of age, and I have a degree from one of the best universities in the world. And for 6 months this year, I spent 6 months being imprisoned in a building, not being able to go outside, not being able to go for a walk around a park or a gardens or anything, not being able to go out. That's like incredibly, I already suffer from claustrophobia. I'm claustrophobic even now, and I need to be able to go outside. I'm a very outdoorsy person. I love just sitting in gardens. And if I can't, if somebody said to me, look, you're not allowed to use your phone for the next 3 hours, not allowed, you have to put it in the safe, but we will take you and Henry to a garden round the corner for you to be able to see the flowers and breathe in the smells of winter and, see the Christmas lights and stuff, I'd be like, fine, absolutely fine. I mean, I'd much rather be outside than on my phone staring at a screen. But if all you're going to do is tell me that for 6 months you have to be enclosed in a stuffy building with the same toys and the same books and no television and no music and no other children to play with and no other adults to speak to, that's an incredibly contrived, controlled, quite boring environment to be in, and there's not much to do. He doesn't talk, Simone. I can't talk to him because he doesn't talk yet. He's too young. So I need some level of stimuli, So if I could go outside, then I'd be like, absolutely fine. Of course you can have my phone. I don't want this horrible antique old phone anyway. It doesn't work anyway. Have it. Take it. It's fine. Absolutely fine.
Yeah, I understand, Lydia. I understand. There's reasons why they're not allowing contact in the community. Hey, those toys you mentioned in the books, are you allowed to bring your own stuff?
I don't know. Does it say anything about that in the agreement, that I can bring my own stuff? Because I certainly wouldn't if it doesn't say it in the agreement, because that would not go down well at all if I brought in things for Henry that weren't approved.
No, I'm not. So you could, for example, bring a book that's age appropriate, but if he's completely bored of the things that are already there, or a different kind of toy, whatever, might be worth like checking if you could bring something. Then you take it home again with you. I don't know. And I think that's probably a good point, actually. I don't know how much stuff they have, and it's always the same things, isn't it?
Yeah, it's always the same thing, Simone. And honestly, that is the main problem. You know, it really is. You know, imagine if your nephew or your niece, the little person that you said you look after for 3 hours, you know, imagine if for that 3 hours you have in your living room right now that you're in right now, you had to just stay there for 3 hours and not be able to take him, you know, out for a little walk or just into your garden, or you weren't, look, your cats had to be kept in a room over there. You weren't allowed your cats around. You know, what would you do? You know, it is really difficult with a baby. It really is. It's very difficult because you know that they have so much energy and they want to run around so much because they can, like, his movement is amazing. He's moving, he's jumping, he's running, he's crawling, everything, his movements, his physical development is incredible, but he's not speaking, Simone. So there is so much you can do. There's only so much you can do in terms of communication. It needs to be visual. It needs to be, you know, environmental, the ability for him to run around on a lovely lawn or in a lovely garden, you know, and smell the flowers. That's the kind of thing that I can do with Henry. I can't talk to him, you know. He doesn't sing. He doesn't talk.
Yeah, but they're not at the moment. They're not allowing that contact in the community, and one of the reasons is because contact sessions haven't been easy for them to supervise. I think that's a bit like what was first, the chicken or the egg. We could argue all day long, you know. But I think if sessions become easier and if there's less disagreements or, you know, arguments that, or, you know, it's not always difficult. It's not always easy, isn't it? For both sides, it's hard for you because of all the things you've just mentioned, and then it's difficult for the supervisors because you obviously challenge them. Okay, not just willing to accept things as they are. So therefore, there's going to be conflict. We've had so much conflict. So, and the conflict, one of the reasons they suspended contact is how this was affecting your son. So,
Simone, I'm sorry, but I'd have to disagree with this. I haven't seen this in the paperwork. I haven't seen. I had 6 months at the starting points. Philomena, one of the supervisors from the starting point, she came and started speaking to me in the centre of town last week, just chatting to me, asking me how I was. I have a fantastic relationship with Philomena, and she was literally supervising all my contact with Henry for about 4 months. There's many of the contact notes that are very positive. I can send them to you. There's many of them that are very positive.
I cannot comment then. I cannot, because I wasn't there. Okay, but a judge decided to suspend contact. Okay, it's not doesn't like happen like lightly. So I just want you, Lydia, to make to have the best possible outcome. Okay. You're fighting, you know, you're fighting really hard, and you should fight, but not to the detriment of Henry, not to the, you know, if the contact sessions, they need to be positive. You need to put that on one side, leave the phone at the door, whatever, and try and, if those sessions can be positive, much more positive sessions than negative sessions, then they're more willing for you to have contact outside moving forward.
But I have to retain my dignity, Simone, and my self-respect. If I don't respect myself, my son's never going to respect anyone, and he's never going to get any respect for himself. I have to retain my dignity, and I have to retain my self-respect. And I'm not willing to be infantilized. I'm not willing to be infantilized in front of my child. I'm really, really not. Unless it's extremely justified, and unless I see the evidence put in front of me, either in a video recording or in a document, if I see actual evidence, then I'll take it into consideration. But I'm not willing to lose my dignity just for the sake of hearsay and subjective opinion.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Let's have a look what I did him. So one of the main problems is how professionals are communicating with you. So when people are sort of very abrupt and kind of singling you out, it makes you feel, what's the word? You react and you get upset by it, no? So,
I get triggered. I'll say that much. I get triggered. I have PTSD and I get triggered.
Yeah.
If somebody corners me in a dark room and starts shouting at me, I'm going to get really triggered because it brings up abuse from the past. But this happens to many people, many people who've been in war or who've had difficult labors or who have suffered from abuse or assault or violence. They do get triggered. It happens. And I don't think I should be blamed for that. If anything, like, I should get the right support so that if that does happen to me, I have the right support in place, that I don't have to suffer. PTSD is an illness and many people suffer from it. And I don't really see why I should be blamed for the fact that sometimes I have panic attacks. I literally have panic attacks. Like, I get palpitations, my heart starts beating, I start sweating and shaking even sometimes. That's not me being a bad person. That's just me suffering from a hell of a lot of trauma.
Yeah, I know, Lydia. So I've just added that. So I feel like there's a one strike policy which doesn't take into account that maybe one can have a bad day. It's obviously not really working in your favor. So let me talk about the safe word. So you were suggesting to maybe have a safe word that could be used with the supervisor, or could be used by the supervisor or by yourself if there's a sort of some kind of a disagreement or discourse or during sessions, whereby all present would then know what to do next. For example, have some kind of a time up for you where maybe Henry would be looked after by someone for 5 minutes or so, and what you envisage is, rather than it being a case of contact being suspended right there and then because of whatever, that code word could be used and give you a breather to calm down and a chance to kind of make things work.
Yeah, I think that would help, because the thing is, Simone, it's like, from my perspective, when I have it hanging over my head, if I get emotional or if I express sadness or grief or upset, that suspension of contact is immediately going to occur. Like, imagine having that hanging over your head, the stress of that. It's like a really big, heavy load to carry. Whereas if I know that, look, we aren't going to be tolerant for any kind of moodiness, but at the same time, or grumpiness, but at the same time, we do understand that you are in these proceedings for the fact that you have got a lot of trauma, then we're going to try and find a happy medium whereby, although we're not going to, completely relinquish our iron claw, our iron fist, at the same time, we are going to make reasonable adjustments for the fact that you've suffered, you're in a lot of pain. That pain's not going to go away. It's never going to go away. I'm never going to stop feeling the pain in my heart every day. That's not going to happen. The only thing I can try and do for myself is to manage that pain, and is to manage how I express that pain. And I take responsibility for that. And I'm not trying to say, the way in which I express my pain is in any way nice for other people to have to experience, but I am making a lot of progress. I never have meltdowns in public anymore, ever. Never, ever, ever. Very, very, very rarely, apart from yesterday when somebody got punched in the head whilst I was getting cash out from the machine, and then I told people to leave him alone because I thought somebody was then going to come and punch me in the head. That wasn't my fault. I was in public, I was outside Sainsbury's, and somebody just happened to get punched in the head next to me. That's not my fault. I cannot be blamed for that. Am I supposed to just not walk down the street? Am I supposed to not go to Sainsbury's? No, I have to live my life. Life happens. Things happen. I cannot be blamed for the fact that things happen. They do. They happen all the time.
Does anyone blame you? I don't understand.
People blame me. People blame me when bad things happen to me that aren't even my fault. Right. Fair enough, if I was like in a room with loads of drug dealers on my own, then yeah, blame me for the fact that somebody got punched in the head next to me. But if I'm just like walking down the hedgerow in the city centre of Leeds at like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm trying to get cash out of the machine to pay the nail technician, and then somebody literally gets punched in the head a metre away from me, and a fight breaks out, that's not my fault. It's not my fault. And I managed it the best I could. I called the police and I reported it, and I literally ran away and I told them to leave him alone and stop punching him in the head, and I ran back to the shop. I am handling things well, and I am getting help with my communication. I'm going to enroll on the Freedom Project, this online program for like having a healthy relationship. I'm going to enroll on that. But I am trying really hard, Simone. And like, when somebody's trying hard to improve themselves and putting in efforts to improve themselves, like, everybody deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. I know a woman who was a heroin addict 3 years ago, and now she's got back full custody of her 3 children. And there's nothing worse than somebody who was in a bad place 5 years ago, but who's gone through courses and programs and has you know, really change their behavior and really change the way they treat people, constantly being perceived as how they were 5 years ago. It's not fair. Like, people change, people grow, people evolve. You know, people take responsibility and they grow, and it's not fair to keep somebody boxed in to this perception that you had of them 2 years ago, you know, or even 6 months ago. You know, so much can change in 6 months. And people need to see the efforts I'm putting in, and that needs to reflect itself in the time I spend with my son, you know. And I don't really feel like it is at the moment. I really don't. I don't feel like it is reflecting really in any area of my family life. And I do find that very upsetting.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm trying to make notes as good as possible.
I have anxiety, Simone. I've got anxiety. You know, I've always been a very anxious person. You know, I've always been an anxious person. I do have anxiety. You know, if I'm dealing with somebody who's anxious and mousy and is sitting in a corner, I'd go over to them and I'd speak to them in a really soft tone of voice. And then I'd see, you know what, if they like, you know, start getting upset, you know, I'd be like, this is really out of character for this person, because this person's actually really shy, and this person's actually really quite an anxious person who doesn't find it very easy to open up to people, and doesn't find it very easy to make friends. You know, they're often on their own, they're often alone and lonely. And then now this person's getting really upset, and I'd be like, this is really out of character. What can I do here? You know, this is odd. What can I do to try and calm this person down or help them feel less scared, you know? And I don't really feel like people make those allowances for me. And I think that's a shame, because I don't want my son to grow up thinking that he's not allowed to express the pain he feels in his heart just because of the fact that it might make somebody else feel uncomfortable, because that actually makes things worse for a person. You know, if they've experienced real pain and they're never able to tell people about that, or never able to be open about that or vulnerable about that, and the ugliness that they've seen, they're never able to tell people about it and share their story, then that actually means it's going to get worse for them, because it's going to eat them up, and they're going to have to experience that all on their own, and that's going to mean they repress it, and then they probably will become quite angry. It's better for somebody to be able to be open and honest about how they feel, the pain that they feel every day, rather than just keep it to themselves and then kind of become a shell of a person, you know.
Listen, Lydia, what about, so the agreement, the contact agreement, are you going to sign that, or what's going to happen with that? Because that might come up more.
Yeah, I want to sign the agreement, but I want to make some amendments. You know, like, I want to be able to take Henry outside into a garden. If there's a garden at the contact center, I'll consider it, but I want to be able to take him outside. You know, I want to be able to do something Christmassy with him, you know. I mean, Christmas is coming up. What are the plans for Christmas? Like, am I not going to be able to, like, you know, have Christmas with my family? Like, am I not going to be able to am I going to be celebrating Christmas on my own this year in my flat?
Lydia, I need to stop you there. Okay, let's just focus on this on the agreement now. So you want to sign the contract agreement, but you would like to make some changes, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to take, you said, so you want, there has to be something in there that allows you to take Henry out, yeah?
Yeah.
That
would make a huge difference if I could take Henry out.
Okay, into the community.
I need the fresh air. You know, when I get anxious, I go outside. That's just what I do. I can't bear it being imprisoned. I cannot bear it. I find it intolerable to be in my flat all day. I have to go out, even if that's just for a walk around the park or just to sit in the front porch. You know, I have to be able to go outside. I cannot be stuck in a building for 3 hours. You know, it's just, with all the central heating on, it dries out my eyes. It gives me headaches. You know, I can't be stuck inside. I have to be able to go outside. Henry has to be able to run around. He has to be able to see the Christmas lights and get the fresh air and the little vitamin D we have during the day. You know, in the middle of winter, it's going to be dark at 3 p.m. If we're going to contact at 11 a.m., he could get that vitamin D, you know, and that he needs that. He needs to see nature. He needs to see the trees and the outdoors. It's really, really important.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to put in a contact agreement, or you would like them to put in there? Doesn't mean it's going to happen. Okay.
I think
so. If they don't, if it's not going to be put in there, will you not sign it?
No, I'm not saying that, Smo. My suggestion was that, like, for example, you know, when you were at you and I were at the Eva Armsby Family Centre last year, where I did the community parenting assessment. At the end of every single contact
2
session,
years ago.
I know it was a long time ago, but at the end of every session, they gave me a little piece of paper, a little tiny slip of paper, and on it, I wrote my feedback. I wrote, what did I enjoy? What did I not enjoy? How did I find the session? My feedback. And then I always sat down with the supervisor at the end of the session and had 15 minutes to go through what she thought was good, what she didn't think was good, what she's going to feed back to the social worker, what's going to be in the contact notes, you know, so I have, like, so I'm communicated with as well, you know, I'm not just like, have all of these people sort of like talking about me behind my back, but not actually giving me the same information. Like, I just want transparency. You know, I don't want to feel like people are, there's like, you know, Chinese whispers going on where people are talking about me behind my back. I want things to be open and honest and directly spoken about to me, because I'm the mum, you know, I brought this baby into the world. And I think at the very least, I have a bit of a right to, like, a bit of respect where people don't, you know, sort of treat this like a children's playground, you know, where it's like, you know, people just, it's like, just talk to me like an adult, you know, let's just communicate like adults and just be open with each other. And I think it worked really well to have that debrief session, both before and after the contact, and also to have a little piece of paper where I could give my feedback. And I think that would really improve matters, because it would mean that everybody's on the same page. Everyone's on the same page. Everyone's working together. Nobody's singled out.
Isn't that in the agreement already about feedback?
It might be, but I don't think there is about the piece of paper, the little slip that I fill in. I think it's always good to have things in writing.
So you want to add something about okay, hang on. At the end of the session, Lydia would be able to write down what you want to write down, like how the session went for you, and what was difficult.
Yeah, how did I find it went? You know, was there anything with Henry that I noticed? Did I notice any rashes, or did I notice that he had any bruises from before? Or how did I think his mood was? You know, was he happy? Was he sad? Was he scared? What did we do? How did I find the activities? How did I find the supervisor that day? Were there any areas that I disagreed with the supervisor on? What did I like about the supervisor? How did I find the session? How do I think Henry found the session? You know, just like a quick paragraph about my thoughts, you know, my feedback. And then obviously I give my feedback, and then the supervisor gives their feedback, and then everybody gives their feedback, and then the judge gets to see all of the feedback from everybody, and then he can make a decision, rather than it just being like the supervisor's feedback and like never my feedback, just the supervisor's feedback all the time, every time, you know, like.
So you want writing, yeah?
Yeah, I want to contribute.
So you want to write it down yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
So rather than giving verbal feedback, you want to give written feedback.
Yeah, I do. I want to give written feedback. I'm a good writer, and I'm able to put my thoughts down much better when I write than when I speak. I ramble when I speak. I repeat myself when I speak. I go off on tangents when I speak. And I'm much better in writing, because I do not do that in writing. Well, sometimes I do, but I'm much better at it, and often I don't. Especially if I only have a paragraph space on a little, like a piece of paper like that thick. There's no way I can go off on a tangent if it's just that. Like, not an essay after every session, just like a small paragraph about what I thought. And any really glaring issues, you know, like glaring issues like the were with iSupport that I noticed in the first week, whereby if I'd been able to give feedback that was circulated round to everybody, then those issues would have been dealt with immediately. But instead, I didn't do that, so they escalated. And what were tiny little things which could have been dealt with and stopped right away, they escalated, and then look where we are now. So I think feedback would be really helpful.
Okay. Right, okay. I'll make a note of that. Anything else you want to say tomorrow?
I just wanted to the main thing I want to ask about is the cream for Henry's eczema, because there's been a lot of occasions whereby I've been community contact and in the contact centre for the last 10 months where I have had contact with Henry 3 times a week for 8 hours. I've often noticed that his eczema on certain days will really have flared up. I think it's probably stress. And I've not had any cream to give him, and he's been itching it, and I've not had any cream to give him, like any emollient cream, or anti-steroidal cream or anything like that. And I just think that if, at least for emergencies, if that cream could be either given to the centre or the supervisor if it's in the community, wherever it will be, then at least I have some way of addressing my son's health concerns, because it's an ongoing dermatological condition that needs managing. It can't just be left, because it causes him a lot of discomfort. So I just want to add that onto the agreement. I don't really understand this kind of current state of affairs whereby anything like the Well Baby vitamin drops that you buy from Boots, multivitamins, the Healthy Start vitamins, which I collect for him from the GP, his eczema cream, like, I don't really understand. Like, fair enough if it was like, oh no, don't bring him in chocolate buttons or jelly beans, or like, don't make homemade cakes for him. Like, I could understand why they want me to do that, because it's too much sugar, it's too many calories, it's not good for a baby. But when it comes to things that are like pharmaceutically approved and which are actually for his diagnosed health condition and which he needs, I don't really understand why I'm being ostracized from that, in the same way that I don't understand why it took the GP 11 months to add me to his GP records. Like, why am I being ostracized from being able to contribute to my son's healthcare? That's not in his best interests. So I think it would be helpful to give the Well Baby vitamin drops and the eczema cream to the I Support, or I don't even know what the name of this, Family Star, or whatever the name of this new centre is, and just say to them that this needs to be administered to him during the session by the mother.
Drops? What is the drops?
Well Baby. They're from Boots. Well Baby drops. And the Healthy Start ones I've got as well, which are literally for children. It's like a government-approved scheme. You have like a Healthy Start card, and then you collect the vitamins for the baby.
Henry.
They're approved.
Okay, hang on. So do you think so? Henry's well-being drops, yeah?
Yeah.
And
vitamin. They're vitamin drops. Vitamin and mineral drops.
Yeah.
Multivitamins. Multivitamin drops.
Vitamin drops and eczema cream should be given to staff, yeah?
Yeah, because this is honestly, like, above all else, my primary priority is my son's healthcare. Because I'm not going to lie to you, Simone, me as a child, don't get me wrong, I had a great childhood, etc. But one thing I did suffer with as a teenager was like a neglect of my physical health. I did. That's just it. I did. Honestly, as soon as puberty hit, you would not believe how my health went down the drain. It was horrendous, really horrendous. And I don't want that for my son. I want him to have as good a chance of having great health growing up as much as he can be, and these health conditions which can be managed, his symptoms can be managed of the eczema, his diet can be managed to reduce the eczema symptoms. This all needs to be taken into consideration, and it's not helpful for him to be with me and then suddenly it's like, oh, now I'm with mum, my healthcare gets ignored. That's not helpful. That's not setting a good tone for the rest of his life at all.
Let's see what to say about the cream and the drops, because obviously the day has 24 hours and the session is 3 hours only. So they might argue that the cream and the drops will just be managed and overseen by your parents, because they know when he had the last cream applied and they know when he had the last drops as well. So, but I think it's worth mentioning. Okay.
Yeah.
I get your point. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Okay. So how should we do it tomorrow? Do you want me to? I made some notes. Do you want feedback to them, or do you want to do it and then if there's anything that you haven't mentioned that we discussed now, I'll add to that?
I think it would be better if you do it, actually. Yeah, I think it would be better if you do it. I can contribute if you need me to. If you ask me to say, like, do you have anything more to say on that point, I can contribute, but I'll try and keep it short. And I think it'd be better if you do it, because you're probably a better communicator than me. So
I wouldn't say that, but obviously it's not, affecting me. So it will be, yeah. I'm not gonna go off on a long tangent, okay? Because I don't think it makes a difference if I say it 50 times. Okay, we'll say it one time, and they can hear it, and then make a note of that. Okay. All right. Thank you. So I'm a bit clearer now, which is good, and I'm going to tidy this up to when I'm.
I mean, like, you know, with this centre, like, just having had this conversation, because the thing is, Simone, I don't get to talk to people about this stuff. You know, I don't have anyone who knows about my situation, who is a parent or who's a social worker or whoever, who I can talk to and, like, you know, like, explore anything in regards to this. So, like, just having had this conversation with you now, I'm like, maybe it's not such a bad idea to go to the contact centre, because at the end of the day, every single contact centre have a system whereby it goes from supervised contact to supported contact to, oh, now we're going to do supported contact in the community. So they always have like a process. So it may start off at this, but then by Christmas we may be in supported contact, or we may have more hours. Like, you never really know. So it's not so much the environment, it's more just like the way that my family is treated in that environment, you know? That's my main priority.
This is exactly what I said to you half an hour ago. Okay. So if the reason, okay, at the moment it is what it is for whatever, you know, you don't agree with what they're saying, but that's how they see it. If contact can be positive and there's no issue and it's smooth and how it should be, you know, how you want it to be, how everyone wants it to be, then it will progress. And it's not always going to be like that. But if there's a continuous struggle, okay, it's not going to change. I'll tell you, it's going to change. Okay. So you're right. It will eventually. It will be in the community, but it has to be positive contact. Okay.
Yeah, no, I get it. Like, you don't want, if this was like me and my ex and we were married and we got divorced, you wouldn't want, you know, the handover where you hand the kids from mum to dad for the weekend to be like really tense and really fraught with anger because we've had a divorce and, like, you know, he cheated on me or whatever. You wouldn't want that to be brought into your handover with the children, you know. And I'm the first to admit that it is a similar situation. Like, obviously, you know, it is tense with me and my parents because there's a lot gone on. We've not had any family therapy, we've not had any counselling. My parents feel like they've been through hell and back. I feel like I've been through hell and back. But, you know, there needs to be one party needs to just lay their hands down and be like, I'm going to park this right now. I'm going to park all of that stuff, and I'm just going to put it to the side. And then when we're with the child, you know, we're just going to focus on the here and now and, you know, the interaction, the dynamic right now, not bringing in anything else into it. And that's a really hard thing to do. It's really hard, especially in my situation, because this is very rare. It's not rare for mothers to be in this situation. 9 out of 10 times it's fathers who are in this situation. And it's not often that I'm in a situation whereby it's me against my parents in court. It's usually you against your ex-partner in court, the father of the child in court. So this is rare, which means that I don't have that much support because nobody knows what to say. This isn't socially, like, this isn't a thing that happens very often. Nobody knows what to do or say or what's going on or the rules. You know, I feel very alone and very isolated in this experience because it is an extremely unique experience to have gone through.
Yeah. I appreciate what you just said.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically the long and short of it, is that you need to prioritize the needs of the child, and you need to just, anything that could cause tension in the relationships you have with everyone, you need to just find a way to just literally be like, not today, not today. Today it's child focused. Today it's just chit chat, light conversation, keep it light, just focus on the here and now. And always have your eye on the child and how they are, and just focus on them, really, and everything else is kind of secondary to them.
That's right. Yeah.
I wish it was as easy as that. I feel like I'm going to master it now.
Well,
I really do. Theoretically, I've got it down to the finest T, but when I'm actually there, it's really difficult.
I know, but you said it now, so it's like, that's, you know it. You just got to do it now.
Yeah.
And I know your parents will do it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. 100%. 100%. My baby needs me. I need to see my baby.
I have one last question. Have you given Olu your bank statement?
She's already got my bank statement, Simone. I don't know if you've seen the email from her. She's confirmed she's received all my bank statements, but because of the fact that it's taken her months to go to finance, she needs me to send more bank statements now. She needs more up-to-date ones.
Get one, the most recent one.
Yeah, I will. I'll send it to her.
You send it to her, and if you don't know how, if you want to redact anything, want to black out things, you don't know how to do it, send it to me and I'll do it for you. But just give her that statement so you can get the money for the...
Okay, I will. Yeah, I will.
You know how to do it? You want me to help you with this?
Yeah, maybe what would be a good thing for me to do is to just literally get my most recent bank statement and just send it to you, and then if you could just black out the areas that I don't need to send to her.
You want me to black out?
Okay.
I've got the Adobe Reader, no problem. But please, just do it. Just do it ASAP.
Yeah, I will. I definitely will.
PDF is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I will. I'll do that hopefully today. I'm in the library now because I wanted to have a couple of hours just to like do that kind of thing. So hopefully I'll manage to have the energy for it rather than just going to Starbucks and eating all day.
Do the most recent statement, the most recent one, yeah? Then it's going to be no discussions about it.
Yeah, okay, I will.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right.
Yeah.
I'll see you tomorrow, yeah?
Yeah, okay, I'll see you at 3:30 tomorrow.
3:30. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Bye.
See you, bye.